All we need is a little understanding. Walk a mile in their shoes. And if we keep our hearts open-minded, we'll enjoy this wild ride called life. And if we keep our hearts open-minded, we'll enjoy this wild ride called life.
Good afternoon, everybody. You are listening to the True Sweet High podcast. Today's guest is someone that I'm actually really honored to be able to share her story and her sister's, because of everything that's going on right now when it comes to military sexual trauma and just getting the support that we don't often get in the correct way. And I want to introduce you Pan Phyu. She is a Navy active duty soldier. And I wanted to start off with her story first because I think it's important to put it out there, and also why she's such a huge advocate for her sister. And we'll get into that next. But thank you so much, Pan, for being here and for doing everything that you're doing. But please tell us your story.
Of course. So I joined the Navy 2011, and it wasn't until 7 years later I was sexually assaulted by my immediate supervisor, and he was also my best friend's husband. And so after that incident, I didn't report it for about a year. And when I did report it, I knew my route, I knew my channels and avenues to be able to fight for justice, because I was a sapper VA myself, and that it just didn't happen like that. I went to medical after I reported it, and they kept drugging me all throughout the night, and then they sent me off the ship. Like within a couple hours of me reporting it, I was off the ship, medevac. And when I got to back here stateside in San Diego, I was talking to 3 different medical personnel, and they all said that I didn't do anything wrong, that I'm not unstable, that I did everything right. And so I went to pursue an investigator general report. My report was 7 pages long. I had substantial evidence. I had witnesses, and I was very meticulous on the series of events that transpired. And what I wanted for them to see was that there was an abuse of authority, not only for sexual assault, but higher senior leaders were being bullies and bullying other sailors on board that ship, and it was just wrong. And I spoke out on it. And they know how I am as a sailor. Like, I want nothing but the best for people. If I see something wrong, I'm going to say something. And so that does not put me in the best light for my as my role in my division. It looks like I am causing too much waves, that I'm too loud, that I need to just be quiet and not show my emotions. And I'm just not any of those things. And so after I reported my sexual assault, of course, the investigator general didn't agree with me. And instead of like pursuing it, another petition for them to relook at it, I honestly just gave up. I gave up because I had to raise my boys, and it was like a part of me that died. And for 3 years, I didn't report it until 2018. But for 3 years, I did not say anything. I kept it all inside, and it killed me. Literally, it killed my soul. And it wasn't until I started advocating for my sister, Thae Ohu, that it kind of made me look at my own, like what I've been through. And it honestly, the whole experience has been bittersweet. Yes, it shocked me. Yes, it hurt. Yes, I'm depressed, and I'm really trying to help get better overall. But had it not been for Tay sharing her story and wanting me to share it with the world, I don't think I would have had the courage to say anything as well. And my family didn't even know until just very recently that I was sexually assaulted. So, yeah, and as far as public laws and policies that are available for service members when they report a sexual assault, those are not disclosed to us. Me being a Sapper VA, I knew that there were things missing from the program that I didn't see until later on. And it's wrong. It's morally corrupt. And if we're going to have Congress, Senate pass bills for the sexual assault program, we don't need to be wasting millions and millions of dollars on training. It needs to be apparent that we respect policies and mandated reporting. And in my sister's case, and in my case as well, there is no respect for policies when it comes to survivors pursuing justice. Yeah.
Well, I'm really sorry that this happened to you. I hate that it happened to your sister. And of course, there needs to be justice. And if the listeners have been watching the news at any point in time, I am sure you have heard about Corporal Marine Thae Ohu and the justice for her. So why don't we get into that in the quick recap on everything that's going on with her.
Okay. So just a quick background. Tay was raped by her own, one of her own Marines, her immediate supervisor. And through the years, she has learned to internalize and compartmentalize her inner traumas and basically to support the mission. She's a squared away Marine. And since she came back stateside, she has been pursuing avenues and channels for her mental health, her sexual assault, and due processes. But it seems as if in 2008, when she was moved to her last unit, things started to get really bad. And I noticed that she was more suicidal. She wanted me to come visit her. She just kept saying things like, I'm so depressed. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to deal with this. And I had no idea because I didn't disclose what happened to me to her either. And so, yeah, so and her mental health just took a dive down south after her limb due process, after her sexual assault trial, and then her chain of command not wanting to support her mental health. So eventually, and I believe it was a combination of all those things that drove my sister to break down. And on April 5th, 2020, my sister was arrested. A fight ensued between her and her then ex-boyfriend, and she was arrested with a misdemeanor assault charge. The cops did not even consider this an alleged murder. And these officers that were there at the time that my sister was arrested, they could see that she was in a crisis. And so when she went to jail that night, she made bail, but then she went straight into mental health clinic at Portsmouth. And she wasn't there long. And shortly afterwards, she had another suicide attempt. And I was on the phone with American Red Cross trying to find her. She has her location shared with me. And when authorities finally did get a hold of her, they stopped her from trying to kill herself. And then they sent her to, long story short, she eventually ended up in a civilian trauma unit for intensive care. Now, she wasn't even told what her charges were. And when she got there, her chain of command, her unit, as a pretrial prisoner, they didn't even ensure that she even had the basic necessities. My sister went there with no tampons, no pads, and she had to beg for them. I do believe that her chain of command and her immediate supervisors and even her CO, they are aware of all the violations that has happened to my sister. And they knew, I feel as if they know they could have fixed it, but because the military has this culture where they don't respect survivors' rights and due processes, my sister never got that opportunity. And even right now, the Marine Corps can make this better. They can say, hey, we messed up. This is how we're going to proceed forward so that we are treating our service members with respect and diligence. But when she was there, a series of like violations happened. Service member rights and human rights were all violated. And me personally, because I'm in and I know what survivors should have access to, even survivors in a federal prison are afforded mental health care for sexual assault. My sister wasn't afforded anything, and I whistle blew as much as I could, and I'm still doing it to this day. And um, her then boyfriend is still advocating for her, and to this day, he has made it publicly clear that he's not trying to press charges because he knew it was a series of events that happened that caused her to have a mental breakdown, and that she, as a survivor of sexual assault, needs necessity proper adequate care to process her traumas. And then to this day, I haven't heard from my sister in the last 2 days, and so I'm waiting to see what's going on with her. And my sister also, but for the most part, me and her talk almost every day. Um, did you want to ask? Was there anything I'm missing?
No, I mean, that's so to this day, she's still not receiving the care that she's supposed to.
No.
And
Yeah, at the brig, they're saying that she gets daily clinical care. She doesn't get that. She only gets one appointment at Portsmouth Hospital for mental health care. That's it. And on top, the last time I talked to her, she was in segregation because of her medical symptoms. And I just feel as if I'm afforded to have my boys here with me when I go through the worst and I'm having serious medical conditions. I'm able to have that human connection. My sister doesn't have that being in a brig. She doesn't have anybody. There is no one hugging her. There is no one tapping her on her back and saying it's going to be okay. But my sister, if anyone could survive it, it's definitely my sister because she's a really tough girl, and she has God behind her, and I feel like she's very brave too. She's my little sister, and she's so brave. Um,
so what's the current status now? How long is she going to be in? What are they doing? Are they going to do anything? What needs to happen next?
well, right now we're waiting for her general court martial to take effect. I know she's been in there over 8 months, and I know that there has been many others that have been to general court martial, and their trial never took this long. And with my sister, she was offered a plea deal, but the plea deal was going to not let her have her medical benefits. And we all see right now that she desperately needs medical benefits. And so the prosecution team has not made it easy for my sister. There seems to be hostility towards her, and they're even hostile with my sister's defense team. And it's very apparent that they do not want to admit their wrongs, and they don't want to just find a solution in all this. And so we're waiting for the general court martial to happen. We're waiting for the truth to come out. I don't know if you're aware, but a couple months ago, the Marine Corps was trying to pursue a gag order. That literally meant that they were going to suppress the details of her sexual assault mishandling and everything else that transpired. They don't want those things to come out because right now, with the recent events that happened at Fort Hood with Vanessa Guillem, I know that there's a series of people coming out like me, and there's a series of people that are fighting back like me and Tay, and the Marine Corps, they just don't look good right now. They don't look like they're going to get any service members to join if they keep continuing down this rabbit hole. But I am looking forward to seeing what Secretary Defense, what Lloyd Austin does, and because I know that he didn't want to wait 30 days. And so I've been trying to get his attention every day. I've been trying to message him. I asked others to reach out to him. And so I'm looking forward to see what the new administration is going to do as far as combating and finding sound solutions for sexual assault, because honestly it's an epidemic and there's a disproportionate treatment, misogynist treatment that goes towards women of color and lower ranking women. And it just blows my mind because we should have equal rights all throughout the service, all across the board, but we don't have that. Our white counterparts are afforded more of an administrative separation instead of being criminalized for their mental health behaviors. Um, yeah.
So you say that you do talk to your sister about every day, which I think is a blessing. Really, I that's amazing that you can at least have that
Yeah.
communication to her. How is she holding up? How does she say that she is?
She's not good. I mean, they have her on medication, and I'm sure a part of it has to play with her being so calm. When I talk to my sister, she sounds very calm, but she's depressed and she's sad and she feels really lonely in there by herself. Um, and I've noticed myself, she has a diminished mental state, and it not having that human connection can really affect you, and it can have long lasting effects.
No, absolutely, and I'm kind of speechless, you guys, because I experienced something like this right before I joined, and it was with people that I was surrounded with. And 20 years ago, we didn't really talk about that. And I see that it just hasn't gotten better. It just hasn't. So, I mean, I don't understand what's going on. And I hope whoever hears this reaches out to whoever you know, whoever you feel like can make a difference and do something. I hope that you share this with them. I hope that you say something, because it's continuing to get worse. And this is not, this is just, it's not okay. Um, and
Yeah.
I really, I'm just like fumbling over my words because I want to say so much more because I'm like so angry. Um,
Me
so
too.
what, like, so what, I just mentioned what I feel our listeners can do. What do you need us to do?
Well, the first thing I'm going to ask you guys to do is do self care, because this is very triggering. To see it happen to another sister in arms, it's painful. It's just painful because you're not alone and you know that other people go through this. But how dare it happens in the service? Because when I signed up, my sister signed up, we didn't sign up to be sexually assaulted. We didn't sign up to be sexually harassed. We didn't sign up to be gaslighted. And we definitely didn't sign up because we're weak. We are so strong. And women are just like, oh my gosh, like we are the energy force on this earth and we are stronger than anything. And so I ask people if one, do self-care, and then when you have the energy, come join us. Come join us in this fight, because what happened to my sister and what happened to Vanessa Guillaume and what happened to so many other women, that could have been our sister. And so I implore you guys to look at policies and look at what's being afforded for survivors and non-survivors. And I want you guys to as a constituent, contact your congressional and senators and let them know, hey, I need you guys to support Senator Gillibrand, Congresswoman Jackie Sear, and in putting in voting yes to military justice reform, because we need to have channels and avenues that is not a part of our chain of command. It's kind of like, if you I've heard this before, someone using this remark, but it's kind of like when the Navy is like, mom and dad, right? Your chain of command is like mom and dad. And say that your brother was molesting you or hurt you, and it was a crime. They're not the best people to be unbiased. Like, they're gonna try to protect him, and then and honestly, I'm sure they want to protect me too, but they didn't make me feel any better that my brother in arms, you know what I'm saying, like, hurt me. They didn't fix it.
Yeah.
And so, and that's what I see. It's just a lot of incense. It's the military cannot be the judge, jury, and executioner. They have to, because commanders, if you think about it, like, their mission is to support the mission. So if I was a commander and I was trying to make rank and I was trying to make the admiral happy about A, B, and C, and all these policies that I'm in charge of, because nothing goes wrong, that's kind of like why things go under the rug. That's why things get covered up, because of issues like that. So I do ask you guys, self-care. Do what you can to fix your policies. Organize protests if you have to. Organize petitions if you have to. Write the White House. I write the White House every day about my sister. But just know that and be aware of where you're getting your information, because there's an underlying biased agenda, and I believe it's a lot of the mass confusion that is in my sister's case. I blame that, because she's always tried to do the right thing. She's tried to be the most truthful one and pursue every single avenue to state her concerns. So just when you guys are looking at, social media or news articles, just be like aware of where you're getting your information. And I do have a justiceforthaeohu.org website. We have a timeline on there, so you can see the trajectory of, like, the things that's happened that led her to her current circumstance. And and I ask people to, like, if you can donate, if you can, buy. We have, like, jackets and shirts for sale. And if you can do any of those things, great. If you can't, that's fine too. Just share the post. And anyone that is a survivor and you hear their stories, stand with them in solidarity. Like, we all deserve love and respect, especially as service members, because we go through so many more hidden traumas that not a lot of our civilian counterparts are aware of. So support a sister in arms, support your civilian sisters, like, male, female, stand with them in solidarity, and just don't you're not the investigator. Who are you to judge anyone? So I really ask that people, stay unbiased and supportive and respectful.
No, absolutely. Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. And I'm curious, so have you heard any responses from the White House?
No, I have not. The only responses that I've seen was the things that are going on in the military coup over in Burma. I've seen them make, public announcements for that, but I have not heard anything as far as my campaign with my sister. And so, but I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep pushing, because
Oh, yeah.
I believe that my sister's story amplifies so many others, and it amplifies all the underlying toxic masculinity and bro culture that's in the military. And there's underlying racism, extremism, sexism, like it, and it needs to come out. Like, and toxic leadership is the culprit, because they don't support survivors. We are never going to have the justice that we need if we keep these toxic leadership in positions. Like, they need to be called out.
What your chain of command given you any type of advice? Like what how do they stand with all of this? Because you're still you're still advocating, and you're not going to stop. And I wouldn't either, but
Yeah. So when everything happened, um, I was being very mindful of the legal jurisdiction that I have, and because I am a second class petty officer in the Navy, I do have rules and regulations that even myself I have to follow. And
Mhm.
so I'm following, I'm tracking, and I have my attorney, Lindsay Knapp. She is the executive director for combat sexual assault. She was also part of that year-long sexual assault investigation into the military, and she was there with Miss Deborah Norris, I think. Maybe I'm saying it wrong,
Mhm.
but yeah. And so me and her, we went ahead and we contacted the public affairs officer. We contacted, and I let my immediate chain of command know, and there was a JAG officer there, and the a representative from the SAPR program. And so I had to sit down with them, and I was telling them, this is my goal. This is what I plan to do. I just need, A, B, and C from you guys, and that's it. And so they did try to talk me out of it. And try to make me use my own chain of command. And basically, there's nothing that they can do. And so I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm not doing anything wrong. Yes, do I have people in my chain of command look at me like kind of standoffish? But so what?
Yeah.
I would do this for anyone's little sister. Like, it's not because she's just my sister. I would do this for anyone because people deserve respect and compassion, period. We already suffer enough. Like, there's no reason to add more misery to somebody else. And so yeah, and since then I've been just, doing A, B, and C. I was a part of the press release conference in front of the commandant's house last Veterans Day. And so we held a press conference there, and I spoke very loudly. And but it's just very unfortunate because the commandant, he didn't even come outside to acknowledge us. He knew what we were there for, and instead he sent officials to call the cops on us and have us arrested. Nobody was arrested because, like I said, we didn't do anything illegal. Um, yeah, and I still have more tricks up my sleeve. I'm not done, but I'm still in. And so, I implore anyone that's in to look at your rules and regulations. Don't let nobody punk you. And a lot of senior leadership, they like to use their rank. They wear the same pants as you. They're not better than you. And you have every right to assert yourself, period. As long as I would say have military bearing and stay respectful, but stay assertive, because no, you do not deserve to be bullied, harassed, gaslit, any of those things. I'm me myself, I'm in a leadership role, and I would never to act. My son, he's gonna turn 8 here soon, and there's somebody's kid. Like, you, I wouldn't think to treat anyone like that. So
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. So we need to go to justiceforteu.org. We need to keep using our voices. We need to keep fighting for what we believe in and stand up for ourselves. And like you said, if you're still in, be respectful, follow the rules, but advocate for yourself, because no one's going to do it for you. We have to stand up for ourselves and not let anybody talk us out of it. Don't be scared of the leadership. Don't be scared of the rank. It's you and your life, your body, your voice. I absolutely agree with all of that. And, I'm sending this, all of us are sending all the prayers. I'm hopeful something's going to happen. Something's going to get done. And we stand behind you. So I really appreciate you sharing your own story, and your sisters.
I usually add this in the beginning, but me and my sister, we are political refugees. We came from Burma during civil unrest, and my dad was a freedom fighter. He was part of the All Burmese Democratic Student Front, and so he's always inspired us. And his love for service is partly because why we wanted to join the service, me and Tay, because we wanted to make our dad proud. And so we have that fight in us, and we want to serve honorably, and we want to serve well. And I feel like if there's any set of sisters that could have ever gone through this, like, we were definitely prepared to take this on. So yeah, I just if there's anyone like out there that wants to contact me, that we do have a contact form on justiceforthaeu.org, and I'm more than happy to collaborate and find solutions so that we can raise more awareness for this epidemic that's happening in the military all across the board.
Absolutely. And how are your parents doing?
My mom, she thinks sometimes that I'm my sister Tay. And so it hurts a lot just because I have to tell her, like, Tay's not coming home right now and she's not here yet. And then my dad, he's been very like depressed. So depressed that he wants to die. And so I feel like as a father, it's so awful that you gladly send your daughters off only to find out that they've been mistreated. It's like the most disrespectful thing you can do to a father. And so yeah, we're all suffering, but it's gonna be okay. Like, we're going to make it through. And
You are.
yeah, we've been fighting our life for justice. So this is just like, it's nothing new. You know? You gotta laugh too.
I know. And I admire your strength. I know that there's days where I can only assume there's days where you're just like, you're so done with all of this, not with your sister, but with all the crap that's going on. But you are still smiling. You're still there for your boys. You're still there for your parents. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things right now. But like you said, you're going to get through this. There's going to be justice. It's just taking a little bit longer, but we're going to teach them some things. So keep going, Pan, and we're here for you and standing behind you. And that's it. We're going to get it done.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And I'm sending you all the prayers.
Thank you. Yes,
You're so welcome. Thank you.